Good morning, everyone. We'll begin in about 30 seconds, so get yourself comfortable.
Welcome to this guided meditation. I'm Anne Ahokangas, and join me as I guide you to visualize your dream. So are you ready to visualize your dream in full sensory vividness? So take a deep breath and just relax. There is a power when you engage all 5 of your senses to align with the frequency of the life you'd love to live. You will have the opportunity now to visualize your dream with full and complete sensory vividness. For this experience, I'm going to invite you to relax in your chair and close your eyes. I will describe a number of things for which you will use all your senses to imagine. Allow yourself to be fully engaged. Feel free to move in any way that is helpful to you. Take this moment to become relaxed and comfortable. And close your eyes. And let's begin this visualization. I begin by inviting you to see the sunrise as it peaks over the mountain. A spectacular sunset where the sky is lit up in red. A newborn fawn struggling to get to its feet. Look down and see only the shoes of the people that are passing by on the sidewalk. See the intricate inside of a flower. See your mother's face. Now see the life you are imagining. What does it look like? Now I invite you to hear. Imagine the great Martin Luther King saying, "I have a dream." The sound of children laughing in the schoolyard. The whistle of a tea kettle. Children in the first grade reciting the ABCs. A choir of mice singing the Hallelujah chorus. Lovers in the park reciting poetry. The wind blowing through the trees. Now hear the life you are imagining. What does it sound like? Now I invite you to taste. A rich, dark chocolate cake. A big, juicy, sweet strawberry. A baked potato covered in butter. A crisp apple. Now bite into a lemon wedge and suck the fruit out. Now taste the life you are imagining. What does it taste like? Now I invite you to smell. Patchouli on a passerby. A garden of roses. The aroma from a coffee shop. A wet dog coming in from the rain. A puppy. The salty ocean air. The top of a baby's head. Now smell the life you are imagining. What does it smell like? Now I invite you to feel. Feel yourself walking through ankle-deep mud. Plunge your hand into a barrel of potato chips and crunch them up. Pat the bony nose of a pony. With your right hand, shake hands with a 90-year-old woman. With your left hand, shake hands with a 5-year-old boy. Feel the warmth of a bonfire on the beach. Feel the hug of a good friend. Now feel the life you are imagining. What does it feel like? Now, using your imagination, I invite you to dance and celebrate, for this is your life. And with all your senses, put on the life you are imagining. Feel it. Taste it. Smell it. Hear it. See it. Be it. Celebrate this life. Celebrate the reality of the life you are imagining. Knowing it is already unfolding. Please join with me affirming, and so it is.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, let it shine. Shine, 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 shine. Let it shine. Everywhere I go, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. I got to let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh yeah, everywhere I go, come on and let it. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Down the road, down the road. Come on and go with me. I'm gonna let it shine. Down the road, down the road. Come on and go with me. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Down the road, down the road. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it
Good morning, everyone. And welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Hamilton on this wonderful spring day. My minister said to me that I'm bringing spring in with my sandals, but Yeah, I'm hopeful. We are, I cannot forget to say thanks to those of you online, York Regional Group, and anybody else who comes every Sunday to worship with us. We are a tithing center, and 10% of all we receive goes back to the community to bless and serve. In this quarter, we are supporting Interval House of Hamilton as well as Unity Canada. So let's begin with a song, and that song will be sung by our dearest Emilio Zaris.
Yes, today's topic is vulnerability, and I'm going to be vulnerable in front of you by singing a cappella. All right. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. One more time, you go. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me.
Yes, this talking about vulnerability. First, our meditation videos had some sounds that we weren't expecting, and then we couldn't find the song for the first song, so we had a discussion about what can we sing a cappella because we don't have the words, we don't have the sound. So that was perfect, wasn't it? And that's the thing about vulnerability, is that we move with whatever's happening and make the best of it. And if you don't know, I'm Reverend Anne Ahokangas, and I'm your spiritual director and minister here at Unity. It's my delight to be here with you today. And for those of you online, welcome. It's so wonderful that you're joining us in this way. So let's move forward with my very first and favorite thing to do every day, as often as I remember, is opening prayer. So join with me in consciousness. And I invite you to take a deep breath and just imagine setting aside all of your thoughts and worries and whirling thoughts of this morning and all of your planning. Just put it aside for a moment and bring your attention to your heart center, where love, where spirit, where the wisdom of the ages resides. It's a place of calm and peace and absolute unconditional love. And let's just sit there for a moment and be loved. It is so beautiful to know that love is as close as a thought. And as I direct my attention to that thought, that love is what becomes my reality. And so it's easy to be vulnerable, it's easy to be open, it's easy to be authentic when I know that what travels with me is a benevolence, a love, a grace that is beyond measure. It is the infinite field of pure potentiality, and it is where I reside. And so with a grateful heart, I just say thank you. Thank you for this knowing, for this recognition, for this ability to tap in. I let go and I let it be so. Please join with me in affirming. And so it is. Now this one, I think we have music and lyrics. I love this song by
ever growing. Let me remember what's real. Let me be intimate with the infinite, vulnerable and free. I wanna be one with the sweetness, completely one with completeness. Let me be gentle with me, falling in love with everything, falling in love with divinity, falling in love with everyone, because God is in you and God is in me. Oh, let me be intimate with the infinite. Let me be open to you. I want to sing in the spirit. I feel it, I hear it, I see in your eyes the truth. Falling in love with everything, falling in love with divinity, falling in love with everyone, because God is in you and God is in me. Oh, forgot to change the key. Let me be intimate with the infinite. Let me be deeply revealed. I want to be one with the knowing, ever present, ever growing. Let me remember what's real. Give it to me, give it to me, God. Give it to me, give it to me, God. I'm ready to receive your love.
Today's absolute word is freedom, and the affirmation, free from fear, I celebrate the gifts of vulnerability. There are not many forms of power. There are many ways in which we use power. When I use power to activate beliefs underlying my fears, I want to protect myself like a knight in armor. My defenses seem to shield me from what I fear, but also block authentic human connection. As I release any belief about whether I'm good enough, I free myself to grow into my full potential. As I release the fear of getting hurt, I free myself to feel more of my feelings. Knowing at depth that I am worthy, I open my heart to give and receive love freely. I choose vulnerability rather than defensiveness, humility rather than aggression. I allow my heart to open to all that is, to live from a center of love, and to treat others as I would like to be treated. As I shed my armor and embrace my vulnerability, I allow myself to live fully. Free from fear, I celebrate life.
love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you just the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel the love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. And I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I wanna grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. 'Cause I love myself just the way I am. You're beautiful and capable of being the best you can be. And I love you just the way you are. 'Cause I love myself just the way I am. So I love you just the way you are. And we can love the world just the way it is. Because I love myself just the way I am.
Nice. I was joking earlier that only 2 more weeks to present on vulnerability. So by next month, we won't have all these things happening for us to be vulnerable. Yeah, right. Yeah. From my lips to God's ears, right? So today we're looking at seeing and being seen, and Emilio picked some really great songs because it speaks to this whole idea that when we're vulnerable, we're really being seen for who we are. And there were words in that one song about, or was it in the Freedom, about putting on armor, and that we have a tendency to put on armor instead of being vulnerable, because we think somehow that we'll be protected. And yet, in a way, we close ourselves off, don't we? So I'd like to look at 2 questions for you to consider, and that words are windows, and they can also be walls, and something called NVC, and you'll have to wait to find out what that is. So the two questions, here's the first one. What happens to disconnect us from our compassionate nature, leading us to behave violently and exploitatively? Because there are people, you know, there are wars going on in the world, there are people who behave badly in that way. What causes them to disconnect? You know, I remember watching a movie, and I don't remember what it was called now, but it had to do with harvesting raw diamonds in Africa. And what they were doing to protect the diamond industry there was they were taking young boys from the villages and they were training them to be soldiers. And how they did it was by every time they behaved well in the way that they wanted them to, they'd give them some kind of the latest device, an iPad or, you know, those kind of things. And so eventually these little kids got to be individuals that would shoot someone if they were asked to do it. And you know, I remember looking at that and being really, all of a sudden having like an aha moment that, you know, these kids started out vulnerable, but they were groomed into behaving in a way that wasn't natural to them. And how have we groomed ourselves? How have others who are behaving violently been groomed to behave in that way? Because that's not their natural and normal way of being. So just a question. And I think it allows us to be vulnerable enough to perhaps see that they're a human being behind that behavior, behind that anger, behind that exploitiveness, and to see the spirit in them, if you can. So, you know, we make moralistic judgments and evaluations and labels that disconnect us from compassion. And that's a bit like putting on the armor. And how can you perhaps step back when someone's behaved poorly and say, I wonder what's really going on here? So attacking the person rather than addressing the behavior is often what we do. Have you ever been in an argument where someone all of a sudden pulls up every piece of yuck that you happen to have done with them in your life, and it has nothing to do with the event of that moment? But somehow it's like if they squish you down, they'll feel better. You know, like saying, well, the last time, la, 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 la. And why is it that we do that? And that's really that armor that we put on, rather than to step back and say, what is really going on here? And recognizing that it's not about me, it's about them. Yes, it's about me in terms of how I react, but how they have reacted or done is about them. So just something to think about. So everything we do is conditioned by selfish motives. What's in it for me? Now you might say I'm the most unselfish person there is in the world, but that's not true. I'm sorry to say. You know, you might like to think that you are and that you're kind and compassionate, but that's different. You do everything based on what works for you, what feels good for you. And you stop doing the things that don't because they're not fun for you, right? Would you agree with that? Yeah. So, and conversely, what allows some people, this is the second question, what allows some people to stay connected to their compassionate nature even in the most trying circumstances? And I'm sure we can all think of at least one person in some circumstance. And you might look at them and say, like, how have you managed to stay so grounded in this situation? Can you think of someone? Or maybe yourself even. You look back and say, how did I manage to stay so cool and calm in that? So let's explore those a little further. So some of us are born with kindness in our blood, is a phrase that I saw somewhere. They actually did research and they found that you actually have something in your DNA, not everyone, but many, that is just naturally kind. They're naturally compassionate. They just naturally tend towards that. And violence and anger and those kind of things just are not part of their nature unless they learn it. And compassion is also linked to the way that we're brought up. So it's nature and nurture. And the thing is that, I don't know about you, but compassion is literally contagious. Would you say that's true? When you see somebody feeling or being really compassionate, don't you start to think, that feels kind of good. Maybe I want to lean into that a little bit. So there's a woman by the name of Etty Hillesum, and she was in the concentration camps, and she remained compassionate even while she was subjected to really grotesque conditions. And there's writings on the internet that you can look her up and read what she's written. But she says, "I'm not easily frightened, not because I'm brave, but because I know that I am dealing with human beings and that I must try as hard as I can to understand everything that anyone ever does." Can you imagine living your life that way? For every reaction that someone has, that you look at it and say, I wonder what's going on here. And that was the real import of this morning. This continues her writings. Not that a disgruntled young Gestapo officer yelled at me, but that I felt no indignation, rather a real compassion. I have to tell you, if somebody's yelling at me, that's not the first place I go. So my hat's off to her. She must have double those genes. And she continues to say, and what would have liked to ask, did you have a very unhappy childhood? And has your girlfriend let you down? I mean, I wouldn't go there, but this is her writings. Like, she actually looked at these young men that were behaving so badly and wondered, how could you possibly be that way? What's happened in your life? Yes, he looked harassed and driven and sullen and weak. I should have liked to start treating him there and then. So she must have been a psychologist perhaps or something. For I know that pitiful young men like that are dangerous as soon as they are let loose on the world. And so, that's really the message here, isn't it? That she could diffuse a situation by being loving and compassionate, and recognize that she could. And at the very least, she could at least not buy into the harassment and behavior that was going on. And I guess we're all invited to do that, even in the smallest of situations where we disagree with someone, to be able to be in a place of, I behold the Christ in you, is what we say in unity. That I see in you me and the vulnerability of who I am, and sometimes that I don't deal with things well. So words are windows or they're walls. And I'm sure you can think of examples of someone saying something and you know that that's the end of that conversation. It is a wall rather than an opening. This I learned when I first started in Unity. Words have wings, so speak good things. And I remember thinking, what does that mean, words have wings? I hear something ringing. Somebody's phone must be. Yes. Have you heard that? Words have wings, thoughts are things.
Bell telephone.
Oh, Bell Telephone, yes, of course. They're telling you that you have Bell Telephone. Thank you, Bell Telephone. Our words have power, and what that means is that what you say goes out there and it comes back. And so if you're thinking thoughts, speaking thoughts of fear, you'll get more reasons to be fearful. If you're thinking compassion and love, you'll have more reasons to be compassionate and loving. So this is from Charles Fillmore. Words are also seeds, and when dropped into the invisible spiritual substance, they grow and bring forth after their kind. And so we really focus here on what are your thoughts? What are your beliefs? What words are you speaking? Because they really do affect your life, and on such a subconscious level most of the time that you may not recognize it. Think of someone who says, oh, that was that killer dinner I had last night. Now, do you think that's going to assimilate in your body in a loving and healthy way if you thought it was a killer dinner? So words really have an impact. And this is from Matthew. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. For as you judge others, so you will yourselves be judged. And really, that's what you put out, you get back. Whatever it is you put out, you get back. You create your experiences by your thinking. When was it that you first, if you have, recognized that you think and then you have an experience? I remember meeting a young man who had gone through the 12-step program, and he had been a very, very violent, angry man. And he was saying that one of the things he learned in the 12 steps was that he actually had thoughts. He didn't realize that he had thoughts. And then he understood that, well, if I have those thoughts cause a reaction in my body. And that if I have a different thought, I have a different reaction. And he learned to control his anger and his violent outbursts by recognizing that he had thinking. And I remember hearing him saying that, and I thought, wow, you didn't know you had thoughts? I thought everybody knew they had thoughts, but I guess we don't. And so, I assumed. Want to say this one with me? I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. So how do we use language and communication skills to strengthen our ability to remain compassionate, even under trying conditions? And that's what I'd like to look at here. So speaking and listening from the heart connects us with ourselves and with each other in a way that allows our natural compassion to flourish. And it's to take a deep breath before you go to say something. And ask yourself, is this coming from my heart? And if not, what do I need to do to have it come from my heart? This is from Marshall Rosenberg, and he wrote the book, Nonviolent Communication. What I want in my life is compassion, a flow between myself and others based on a mutual giving from the heart. So that's what NVC stands for, nonviolent communication. And another way of calling it is compassionate communication. And what he ended up doing was being instrumental in world politics, in teaching groups from different countries to be able to communicate with each other, but take away all of the judgment and the picking on each other and just state the truth and state what their needs were. And then he wrote this book because it's helpful for the individual as well. Like, how can I communicate with you when stakes are high or somebody's angry, and be able to convey what I want to say without all of that, well, remember the last time you did this and that, and and getting really off topic. And so he said it's about reframing how we express ourselves and hear others, becoming more deliberate. And so I'd like to look at how we express ourselves in nonviolent communication, but also how can we hear someone through that same lens. So instead of habitual automatic reactions, you can be more conscious, based firmly in the awareness of what you are perceiving, feeling, and wanting. And those are the keys. What are you seeing happening? How is it making you feel? And what are you wanting instead? So would you like to express yourself with honesty and clarity and still be respectful and empathic? I would think so. That'd be nice. So this way of speaking honors our deeper needs and those of others. And to truly be vulnerable, it's important to identify clearly, articulate what you want in any given situation. And nonviolent communication is simple and it's really transformative. So it replaces our old patterns of defending and withdrawing and attacking in the face of judgment and criticism. So I hope that if that shows up in your week this week, that you can maybe use this idea. So we come to perceive others and ourselves and our intentions in a new light, because we see the individual and we see the pain perhaps and the difficulty that they're having. And maybe we recognize it in ourselves as well, that we wished that something was different, and that's why we're reacting that way. So it's basically an acronym. I call it OFNR, O-F-N-R. And so you're observing what's going on. You're noticing your feelings. You're recognizing what you need instead of what's going on, and what you would rather have happen, and that's the response. So in expressing what's being observed, felt, and needed, we can stop diagnosing and judging and discover the depth of our own compassion. So let's say you have a partner, male partner, who always leaves the toilet seat up. And you're in the middle of the night, you go to the bathroom and you end up sitting on that cold porcelain instead of the seat. And you think, next morning I'm going to tell him what for. And so how would you use this OFNR, observing, feeling, needs, and response? Say, well, I noticed that the seat was up last night on the toilet. Feelings. And I felt really cold sitting on that porcelain. And I have a need to not wake up quite that much in the middle of the night. So could you please put the seat down the next time that you use it? Now, can you see where there was no pointing fingers at someone saying you're bad or you're stupid or why the heck did you do that and my life is terrible as a consequence of it and I didn't sleep all night because of it? No, I just stated my observation, my feelings, my needs, and what I wanted to have happen instead. So maybe it's about laundry. There's always socks or underwear all over the floor. You know, and you say, there's always all of this messy laundry everywhere, la, 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 la. Instead, saying, I noticed that there were a pair of socks under the chair again last night. And what are my feelings? It didn't feel really good to see them there, you know. I can't think of another feeling for that because I wasn't angry about it. It's just like, And then my needs are to have them already in the laundry basket so that when I go to do the laundry, I can do the laundry. So I have this requirement or response, please put your socks in the hamper. And it's a simple way of kind of addressing it without any emotion, any judgment, no blame. So it's interesting, isn't it? And it's not where we usually go, is it? When someone has done something that's pressed your button. So through deep listening to ourselves as well as others, NVC encourages respect, attentiveness, and empathy. So again, to look at someone else now through that lens and to wonder in your mind, okay, so I observed it, so I wonder what's going on with them. And what are they feeling as a consequence of what they did? And perhaps it's distracted or tired or something. And what are their needs at this time? Perhaps that they need some help. Or perhaps they don't know, they don't realize, so they need some awareness. And so how might I respond instead to that situation? So can you see how you can observe it, but you can also put yourself in their shoes and see it from their perspective. And I know it's a training because we automatically go to the judgment, the blame, the reaction, because we've done it for so long. At least I know that that's the way that I typically am. But to start first, take a deep breath and just observe what's really going on here. So a man on all fours under a street lamp is searching for something. And the policeman passes by and asks him what he's doing. And he says, I'm looking for my car keys. And he says, well, where did you lose them? He says, oh, down in the alley over there. He says, well, why aren't you over there? He says, well, it's too dark there, I can't see. And so a bit of how we respond to things is like that, isn't it? You know, it's disconnected from the real situation and we don't really get the results that we want, right? So cultural conditioning leads you to focus attention on places where you are unlikely to get what you want. You know, they're red herrings. I call those arguments where people go off on tangents as red herrings. And I remember when I was first working for someone else, I had been my own boss from the age of 21 to about 40, and then went to work for someone who really didn't know how to be a boss in that way, if you know what I mean. Was very much an artistic person, but not someone who looked at me the way that I'm talking about looking. And now I want to know where I was going to go with that. Oh, he called me into his office. We had hired someone new in my department. So I had been the only one in my department, and I was handling about 20 people a day, which was quite a bit in that business. And so he hired someone else to help with that load. And this person was really quite insecure because I was really capable. I was able to handle those individuals. They were all really happy. And I didn't recognize that his insecurity caused him to go to the boss and say that I seemed to be really, I don't even remember what the words were, something like pushy and bullyish and all of those things, which wasn't at all who I am or how I was behaving, but that's how he perceived me because he felt threatened. His own way of doing work felt threatened because there was no way he could accomplish 20 clients in a day. He could do maybe 5. And so he went to the boss and basically said, you know, you've got to do something because I can't work with this woman. And when the boss called me into the office to say that, he got about half of the words out. And what I heard was that he didn't think I was doing a good job. Well, I lost it. I lost it because I had been doing the best I could possibly do with the best of intentions, not only for the clients, but for me and for the business. And so I started crying so hard, I was hyperventilating. I couldn't even speak. And they couldn't finish the conversation. I called Randy. He drove to the salon. And I sat in the car for an hour, and I hyperventilated for an hour. And I was just like a basket case. And if I'd had these tools and seen that it was just this young man's fear and vulnerability and insecurity that was causing that, and that it really had nothing to do with me, I wouldn't have had about 3 hours of this mess. Now, I was early 40s, so you could blame it a bit on hormones maybe too. But I remember looking back at that and saying, you know, there are a lot of tools we're not taught in life. And when something catches us off guard, and that really did, because it was totally out of alignment with what I was expecting to have happen. I expected accolades and praise, and to get told that I wasn't doing it right, it was like, what? So I look back at that and I think, you know, there's really something to be said for training yourself to stop before you react, to look at what's going on, and to just say, what's really going on here, and what's my role in this, and how can I be supportive in this rather than reactionary? And I think that's a big part of when people have anger issues and they go to training about anger issues. It's to start to recognize that you have thinking, you have reactions to the thoughts that you have and feelings and how you might do it differently. So if anything is triggering you this week, stop for a moment. Just take a moment, 30 seconds, 10 seconds even, and just say, what's really going on here? Why am I reacting this way? Because it'll make a huge difference. I'd love for you to read this one with me, if you'd like. Today, I shine the light of consciousness on places where I can find what I am seeking. I choose compassion, a flow between myself and others based on a mutual giving from the heart. Yeah, it's to just be conscious. So first, observe what's going on. Articulate this observation without any judgment or evaluation, and just say what you're seeing is happening, not what you think about it. And then state how you feel when you observe this action. Hurt, scared, joyful, irritated. And thirdly, state what needs you need to have fulfilled at that time. And then the fourth addresses what you want from the other person that would enrich your life and make life more wonderful for you. And so when I think about that scenario in the salon that I was telling you about, I would have, if I was using this method, I notice that there seems to be something going on here that I don't understand. And I'm feeling really attacked at the moment. And I have a need to understand so that I can be from a centered place. So would you please explain the situation to me? Might be one way of handling it. So observations, feelings, needs, requests, often. So what am I observing, feeling, needing? What am I requesting to enrich my life? What are you observing, feeling, needing? And what are you requesting to enrich your life? So listen for the feeling and the need behind the statement when someone's speaking. Don't agree or disagree, just receive the words, not the attacks. Look at them as gifts if you can, because they're revealing to you something that's going on with them. So we looked at two questions. How do we get disconnected? And how do some people stay connected in spite of everything? And that words have wings, so speak good things. And NVC. So seeing and being seen from a vulnerable standpoint means that you can be powerful at any given moment just by choosing to come from a place that isn't emotional. So let's behold the Christ in everyone.
I behold the Christ in you. Hear the life of God I see. I can see a great peace too. I can see you whole and free. I behold the Christ in you. I can see this as you walk. I see this in all you do. I can see this as you talk. I behold God's love expressed. I can see you filled with power. I can see you ever blessed. See Christ in you, our buyer. I behold the Christ in you. I can see that perfect one, led by God in all you do. I can see God's work is done. Oh, in you I see God's work is done. I behold the Christ in you.
I think that sums it up. Just say, I behold the Christ in you. Arguments are done. Thank you, Reverend Ann. What's your takeaway today? I'm taking away, words have wings, so speak good things. and also to ask the question, what's really going on here? Wonderful. Let us turn our attention now to conscious giving. Now is the time to practice the law of circulation through conscious giving. And this includes financial giving and receiving, as well as asking and forgiving, blessing and praising. And for those of you here, you may give your offering through the basket being passed, or for those online, we accept e-transfers to admin@unityspiritualcenter.com and checks made out to Unity Spiritual Center. And we also give thanks for all the volunteers who are part of our community, for loving thoughts that you bring, and however you choose to serve. We are grateful. And so with our hand on our hearts, let us say together the blessing. Divine love that I am blesses all I give and all I receive. Oh, that's my favorite.
I can shout out in anger or think before I speak. I can choose to be strong or surrender at your feet. I can rage like fire or soothe like the breeze. All of this is all of you and me. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be a mirror, to reflect the divine in you, because in and through it all is God. Life can play a soft, sweet melody or screech in tragedy. It can wrap you in its arms or bring you humbly to your knees. It can bring so much suffering or joy and harmony. All of this is all of you and me, because in and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. Reflect the divine in you, because in and through it all is God. It's what it takes to live this human experience. It's what it takes to awaken to our souls. It's what it takes to recognize our wholeness. Because with God's love in and through it all, we are whole. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be a mirror, to reflect the divine in you. Because in and through it all is God. In and through it all is God. In and through it all is love. I am here to be a mirror, to reflect the divine in you. In and through it all is God.
Yes. We're here to reflect the divine in everyone. And we're also here to pray with you, for you, alongside you, however you would like. We're available. We have prayer request forms here that you can place in the prayer box. You can send us a prayer request via email through prayer@unityspiritualcenter.com. You can even call me directly and I'll call you back if I'm busy. And know that you can also contact Silent Unity. So let's say the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And we'll end with this beautiful song, If I Were Brave.
Last week we were talking about braving. Braving. So this. What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sails? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where true believers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? You know there are. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where true believers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? See, what would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear with the voice of courage whisper in my ear, maybe this is what I'd hear. I am brave enough to move ahead where true believers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today? I am
Absolutely fabulous. I just want to give another round of applause for Emilio. He is just such a blessing to all of us. So thank you everyone for joining again this week, and may you be vulnerable in a really strong way this week. Bye for now. I love you.